Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is November 5th, and right now I want to do a special edition here because we have some pretty dire wording here from the National Weather Service, and I want to make sure to get the information out to all of my viewers here on YouTube. And you can see it here: Los Angeles National Weather Service red flag warning, particularly dangerous situation. Yes, that is actual terminology that they use for big tornado outbreaks. And in this case, it is the extreme fire behavior that is expected. We're going to have very powerful winds, extremely dry conditions, widespread down trees and power outages that are possible, especially in the typical areas, mountains, foothills, the gaps, and some of the coastal areas downstream of the gaps as well. Extreme fire danger is coming in here, folks. So you need to take action now and be prepared for what is about unfold. Taking a look, you can see we've got this ridge of high pressure, and this is now starting to build in across the interior, and it's going to drive this very powerful pressure gradient, these offshore winds, and this very dry air back across the state of California. So current hazards, here we go with the red flag warnings. You can see all of them up and down the coastal areas here in pink, and extends into some of the valley areas, and of course does include Southern California and the higher terrain. We got wind advisories, we got high wind warnings in effect all over the place also. Now, this is a term that I have not heard used much before in area forecast discussions from the National Weather Service. This is what's called long range spotting. So if you can see here, the embers are lofted to some pretty extreme heights, and then these embers get blown downstream by the powerful wind. So if you have roads or you think you're safe from the trees or whatnot, that is not going to be the case under this extreme fire behavior. These embers get blown well downstream, and they can catch things on fire well away from the fire itself. So, breaks in the roads or even terrain and whatnot, or valleys and gulches and things like that are not necessarily going to keep you safe. And you can see down here, extremely critical and highly volatile conditions. Any new fires in the red flag warning area, and particularly the PDS red flag warning, will have rapid fire spread, extreme fire behavior, and long range spotting. That means those fires can spread rapidly. You don't even have to be that close to the fires to have those new starts. And if you look at some of the wording, they're talking about 100-mile-per-hour winds that are possible here. So again, I just want to drive home this point to be prepared for this coming up. And we do have red flag warnings elsewhere across some of Northern California. This does not include the coastal area there for Northern California, Port Arena, up towards Point Bragg, Fort Bragg, Shelter Cove, and up towards Crescent City. But you can see we're going to have some offshore winds, and you could have some fire danger across portions of Northern and Central California, the Bay Area, Sacramento Valley, under that red flag warning currently right now. So if we take a look at Hanford National Weather Service, also calling attention to that very low relative humidities and some very gusty winds. Follow the local burn bans. You shouldn't be doing anything outside that even has the remote chance of starting fires. Now, again, if you want to pause this, or you want to go ahead and go to the National Weather Service page, all kinds of good information here on what you should do when this fire danger gets this high. So go ahead and pause it, or check out weather.gov/Los Angeles. Now, we're going to take a look at the winds here. We're looking at Southern California, Santa Barbara, Ventura counties right there, Los Angeles, there's San Diego Metro, and of course you got the tip of Nevada, southern tip, and western Arizona right there. So let's put this into motion and see just exactly when these winds turn offshore. We start to get some northerly winds as we're going through this evening here across portions of Santa Barbara and Ventura County, and then you can see them really pick up and become extremely strong as we go on into tomorrow morning. Look at some of these winds just blasting out across the coastal areas, and it extends up and down the Peninsula Range. Strong north winds across the desert. Look at these east winds across maybe areas like Tehachapi, down the desert regions here as well, which are going to have fire danger out there also. And as we go all the way on through Wednesday afternoon, look at how strong these Santa Ana winds are going to remain blowing all the way through Wednesday night. We continue off into Thursday morning, and still some pretty decent winds. So if there's any fire activity ongoing in any of these windy areas, they're really going to continue to get a boost all the way through Thursday. We're now into Thursday night coming up here, and you can still see we got the Santa Anas blowing all the way to hour 60 on the North American model. This one's hot off the presses. And that's as far as that weather model goes. Now, I talked about that high pressure coming over the Great Basin, and you can clearly see it as we go to tomorrow morning. Very strong pressure gradient there. Relatively warm water out of the coastal region, some relatively cooler water here with that high pressure, and we're going to get somewhat of a lower pressure here right along the coastal areas, and then we get this very strong offshore wind that's going to bring the extreme dry conditions. Now, I brought up this map here. This is actual dew point temperature, so look at how dry things are across the Intermountain West, and you'll see as we scroll on in through tonight, look at this dry air just creep across the deserts and out to the coastal area. I mean, we're bringing the dew points down into the single digits here for many areas in Southern California as we scroll on in through Wednesday night and all the way on into Thursday morning. Just very dry conditions. If we take a look at the actual relative humidity, this is the North American model. I'm going to put this into motion. And you can see as we go through tonight into tomorrow morning, look at that wind just coming offshore, the very dry wind here. And hopefully, once these fires get going, hopefully not, but I mean, again, they could spread so rapidly that, you really have to have your wits about you if you're out and about tomorrow. But yeah, anyway, you can see the low relative humidities as we go on in through tomorrow night as well. And if we take a look at the dew point a little bit closer up here, and I'm going to scroll through this pretty quick, you can kind of see, I'm just going to let this replay and look at that dry air with the offshore winds whoosh, just rush out across the desert areas, Southern California. And you can imagine the terrain is higher out here across Nevada. As this air comes down the higher terrain towards the coastal areas, it's dropping down, it's compressing, and it is losing a lot of its moisture content, and the relative humidities are going to be extremely low. Again, look at just amazingly dry across much of the state of California as we're going in through tomorrow and Thursday. Now, looking at accumulated 10-meter max wind gusts, this is just kind of academic because with conditions so dry, I mean, what's the difference between 50, 80, or 100 miles per hour when you've got a firestorm just absolutely going? It's going to spread rapidly, really, with any kind of wind ongoing out there, especially when you start gusting up over 40 miles per hour. But again, you can, knock power lines into trees, and there's all new kind of ways you can start fire activity. So yeah, let's try to be on our best behavior here as we go through tonight into tomorrow and Thursday. And again, San Diego, California, discussing these things as well. Red flag warnings, just kind of showing you here. But yeah, we'll scroll through that pretty quick. Quick look at the extended forecast. Let's try to end it with a little bit of good news. This is the European Artificial Intelligence. So as we go on towards this weekend, a little bit of a clip here from this system in the Pacific Northwest. But then we watch off in the extended, and you can see a stronger frontal system may be coming as we go through the early portion of next week. We have some precipitation chances coming through next week as well. And then look at this trough kind of set up off the coastline there. That would be an interesting system. So, maybe we'll switch things up as we go through the mid portion of November. No promises just yet. We will be breaking that down on a daily basis, and we will revisit this all again tomorrow. 6 to 10 day. This has been updated today, so let's take a look at that. Below normal here for much of the West Coast. Look at that, above average, starting to creep down into California a bit more as we head towards the mid portion of November. 8 to 14 day below average across the West. And look at that, entire state of California supposed to be above average during this time frame. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, the red flag warning, particularly dangerous situation. Again, be prepared out there. I don't know. You can take some courses of action in trying to clear brush last second here and whatnot, but it's probably the best way out of this is just to not have any new fire starts here, because it only takes a spark to create some pretty extreme fire behavior under these type of conditions. And again, if you want to stay tuned to your local forecast, watch the National Weather Service here, or tune back in tomorrow. We'll be going over it as the high winds are ongoing in tomorrow morning's briefing here as well. So hopefully you guys have a good day. Otherwise, what else? If nothing else, I will see you guys tomorrow morning's briefing. So stay safe out there.